What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Fantasy Puck video. Today's video is going to be a really important one. Must draft sleepers. It's always a fan favorite going into this season. I'm going to give you my 7 favorite sleepers based on ADP and overall ability to perform way above where people think they are. If you enjoyed the content so far this season, guys, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. We have so much content we're bringing out to you guys. And make sure, if you're not already, because the leagues are filling up quickly, head on over to our Patreon and join our Fantasy Puck Patreon leagues. Without further ado, guys, let's jump into the must draft sleepers video. The first sleeper for this video, Jakub Vrana of the St. Louis Blues, someone you're going to hear us talk about a little bit more on the channel as the season progresses. We love Vrana this season. We love the outlook for him on the St. Louis Blues. In Detroit, he was solid, but he just couldn't really find his way back from that shoulder injury. Needed a change of scenery, moved over to St. Louis, got top 6 minutes, power play 1, and he was extremely good. Over the last 3 seasons, he holds a 10.0 shot per 60 rate, very elite. And last season, 11.1 shots per 60 when he moved over to St. Louis, one of the best rates in the entire NHL. But not to mention his elite goal scoring ability. 1.75 goals per 60 amongst some of the best in the entire NHL. I get it, it's a short sample, and for me, I really like to see sample size. We know Vrana earlier in his career, he was a first-round pick with Washington. He's always had that elite upside. Someone I've really liked on the channel in previous years. I think my first year doing Fantasy Puck, I was a Vrana lover, and we're finally back on him again this season. There's really not much competition over in St. Louis. He's going to get top 6 minutes. He should get power play 1. And the upside is honestly huge here. I love Vrana this season. I think a lot of people are going to be sleeping on this St. Louis Blues team who had a really poor start to last season and then sort of figured it out. Kairu's there, Robert Thomas is there, some very good point getting forwards. If Vrana can find his way in this mix, he should be in line for a huge season. 15 minutes and 10 seconds of average time on ice last season with the Blues. If this goes up, he should be in line for a 30+ goal season, which we're projecting him for this year. So we have him projected for 70 games played, 32 goals, 21 assists, 170 shots, and some power play points, which honestly could go up or down depending on the success of this team's top power play unit. From 2019 to 2021, Vrana ranks 44th best shot rate at 10.0 per 60, and he has the 9th best goals per 60 at 1.58. He's been very good when healthy. We just need a full 70 to 82 games from Vrana this season for him to really break out, and I think this is finally going to be the year. I'm doing it again. It's the same thing as Kevin Fiala back in 2020 and 2021, where I was just calling for him to break out. Finally, he's going to break out, and that's how I feel with Sam Bennett this season. I love Bennett. I loved him last year. I think with the recent news that Montour and Ekblad, and you're going to hear about that a little bit later in this video with another sleeper, with news that they're going to be out, those are 2 guys that were taking the spot from Sam Bennett on the top power play unit. But the really interesting thing for me is I went back and looked at the playoffs, and Sam Bennett had the 5th most average time on ice amongst all players on Florida on the power play. 3 minutes and 4 seconds, the exact same as Barkov. Not to mention, he had the best shot rate amongst all players on that top power play unit. So when Bennett's on that power play unit, he's in the spot to shoot the puck. I don't know how it's going to look now with no Montour, who was extremely good last year on the top power play unit. But Sam Bennett should start the season on the team's top unit, and that's what I love to see with him. He's a great shot, a great hit volume player. You can see our projections below. We have him for 51 points, 20 power play points, 228 shots, 149 hits. So you're going to get a 220+ shot player and a 140+ hit player on the power play 1 on a very good Florida team who had the 10th most power play goals amongst all teams last season. They have a high firing offense. Bennett is only drafted in 3% of leagues this season, which is crazy to me because he always seems to end up as a top 80 player each and every season. I love Bennett. I'm going to continue to preach him until he finally breaks out. And I think this year, if he can stay healthy, will finally be the year. Moving on to the first goalie sleeper on this list and the only goalie sleeper, Akira Schmid of the New Jersey Devils. I know what you're saying right now. Vitek Vanacek's there. He's going to steal the spotlight. But I think this 6'5" goaltender who came up last season and brought this team through the playoffs and was their #1 goalie when it mattered most, and that was in the playoffs. I love Akira Schmid this season. He has all the stature and stats to back him up to be a #1 goaltender in the NHL. It's just a matter of if he can steal the spot from Vanacek, because it's Vanacek's net to lose per se, but we have them at a 50% start split. 41 games started for Akira Schmid here. 27-12-2 record, a .912 save percentage, and a .254 goals against average. Very good stats from a goalie that's going in ADP 160. He is being drafted in 100% of drafts, but super late. You can get him as your goalie 2 and goalie 3 with the upside to easily finish as your goaltender 1. It's just a matter of him getting those starts. This New Jersey Devils team is extremely good. We saw last year how good they are, and now they signed Timo Meier and Tyler Toffoli, 2 70-plus point players, and they have Luke Hughes and Simon Nemec coming up. There's just so much to like from this team, and honestly, even if Akira Schmid gets 30, 35 starts, he's still going to win your goals against average and save percentage categories just because of how good this team is. I love the Devils. They had the 3rd best point percentage last season at 68%. This is a team I want to be taking their players on. Give me Akira Schmid late in the drafts. He is definitely a must-own sleeper that I want on all of my draft teams. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone in the Discord for shouting me out to Zach Werenski. I was really not on him at all. I know FP Sven shouted him out to me early in the season. I'm like, no, he's injured. He's never healthy. But super unlucky injuries. He had a sports hernia 3 years ago and then a torn labrum last year. This team is a complete wild card right now, but I'm seeing more and more people starting to like Columbus with the additions they've made. And they have Jiricek coming up. Kent Johnson's a year older. We're seeing Gaudreau and Laine hopefully healthy this season. Not to mention Adam Fantilli, who's getting Jack Eichel comparisons. I don't know if he'll be Jack Eichel this season, but I really like the outlook for him this year. And Zach Werenski is their #1 defenseman. He's going to be playing a ton of minutes, and he is being completely forgotten about in drafts right now. As the time of this video, he is ADP 154 and is being drafted in 38% of drafts. We've done a ton of mock drafts this season, and it seems like all the fantasy puck people are already on him. So he's being drafted around 120 to 130 in the 10th round. You can grab him as your defenseman #4. And if he can stay healthy, he is going to be an absolute beast. In 21-22, he averaged 25 minutes time on ice per night. First pair, first power play. It's really hard to sell out on this team because they had so many injuries last season. They didn't have Werenski at all. And when he was healthy, 8 points in 13 games. I mean, we can't really expand that to 82 games because there just really is enough sample. But we have Werenski projected this season, 62 games played, 13 goals, 33 assists, 19 power play points, almost 200 shots. When healthy, he's had a 20-goal season before. He's a very, very highly dynamic offensive defenseman. If this team can stay healthy and these players can really find the mesh together to become a very highly offensive team, which they have the ability to do, Werenski is in for a huge season. Over the last couple seasons, a 0.43 goals per 60 rate, 16th best amongst defensemen, 7.0 shots per 60, 10th best, and a 0.4 individual expected goals per 60, 10th best. So you can tell with those numbers there that he is amongst the top defensemen offensively in goals and shots and getting pucks to the net and creating chances. Former 20 goal scorer, the talent's there. The upside's there. It's a low risk as your defenseman 4 this late in drafts, making him a must-draft sleeper. Moving on now to the Boston Bruins with Bergeron, Hall, Krejci, Foligno all leaving. This opens the door for someone to really step in and become that #1 dynamic center. And Pavel Zacha seems to be the guy that's going to open up that role, play line 1, power play 1 with Brad Marchand, Jake DeBrusk, an opportunity to also play with David Pastrnak, who I know a lot of people are high on this season. So many people are selling this Bruins team short. They're still a very, very strong team, although they don't have Bergeron. He's been in and out of injury the last couple seasons. Zacha here, a very, very safe pick who played all 82 games last year, 57 points. But with the increased role, we can only assume that there's going to be increased production. So we have him projected here for 75 games played, 27 goals, 38 assists, 20 power play points, 180 shots. Power play 1 really, really increases production for a lot of players. This Bruins power play each and every season is extremely good, especially when Pastrnak is firing on all cylinders like we saw last year. I love Zacha in plus-minus leagues. I anticipate Zacha to be one of the strongest players, given how good this Bruins team is, just defending in their own end and not really giving up many scoring chances. He's really falling outside of drafts to the point where he's not even being drafted right now. I get it. Like, centers are extremely full position. I know some of you may play in leagues that just have forwards and defensemen. In that case, you should be drafting Zacha. I want to see better peripherals from him, and there is a little bit of risk that his job could be stolen from someone like Charlie Coyle. But in that case, Zacha just falls down to line 2. He should still sustain that power play 1. I love Zacha going into the season. We're definitely going to be updating you guys as training camp starts to see where he's playing. But I assume it's going to be with Pastrnak or Marchand, and that's what I like to see, 2 really high point getting forwards. And Zacha should reap the benefits on that line 1 power play 1 role. The next sleeper that I think a lot of people just really aren't paying any attention to right now is Ivan Barbashev of the Vegas Golden Knights. He was super good when he was traded to Vegas. 6 goals, 16 points, 35 shots, and 50 hits in 23 games, playing top line, 17 minutes, 40 seconds average time on ice down the stretch. And he was extremely good in playoffs with 18 points, 32 shots, 64 hits in 22 playoff games. I am expecting Barbashev to play that line 1 role beside Jack Eichel that I know a lot of people are really high on going into this season. If you're high on Eichel, you have to be high on Ivan Barbashev, who's going to be playing alongside him in a bruiser power forward role while staying in front of the net and scoring a bunch of goals while Eichel just dominates the ice. He's a candidate for a 25 plus goal, 50 plus point season with 150 shots and 150 hits. You really can't pass that up this late in the draft. He's going undrafted in most of our mock drafts so far. I want him on my teams. I really, really like the outlook for Barbashev this season. It's kind of giving me Rickard Rakell vibes from last year, where he was traded to Pittsburgh at the deadline, had a great role with them, and then no one was looking at him last year. That's what I want from Barbashev this year. If he plays on that top line with Eichel, it's going to be a great season for him. In terms of power play, I don't really know what's going to happen because Vegas is notorious for having a power play 1A and a power play 1B, and no one really breaks out for 25 plus power play points on that team. So Barbashev, his 5-on-5 stats are great. He's going to be playing big minutes on a very good Vegas Golden Knights team. I love Barbashev, and I want him on my draft teams. Finally, guys, to end this video off, Gustav Forsling of the Florida Panthers with news that Montour is out until November, December, maybe longer. Same thing with Aaron Ekblad, who is going to step up, and it looks to be Gustav Forsling. He played 23 minutes a night last season, just 5-on-5 with literally no power play time, and had a very strong season with 13 goals, 41 points, 209 shots, and 106 blocks. You're getting a defenseman with 10 plus goals, 200 plus shots, 100 plus blocks. This late in the draft, he becomes around that Zach Werenski range as your defenseman number 3 or 4, with upside to finish as your defenseman number 2. He's really never had any power play time in his career, so that is a little bit worrisome, but the openings there are really, it makes it so it's Forsling's job to lose. I know in the Discord we've been talking about OELs there. I'm very curious what people think if OEL will actually step into that power play 1 role and take the job from Forsling. Even if that's the case, Forsling should still be playing 25 plus minutes with power play 26 plus minutes. We anticipate him to be power play 1, and that's showcased in our projections for him. 58 points in 73 games, 200 plus shots, 22 power play points. Very elite numbers from a well-rounded defenseman. He's going to be a guy that you're going to want to sell high on when Montour and Ekblad are nearing return. It's very similar to the situation we saw with Elias Lindholm last season. I know I took some grief from it earlier in the season, but he was very, very good all around. This Florida Panthers team, 10th most power play goals last season. Forsling had a great year last year. We saw what happened with Montour when Maurice said, go out there, play offense, do your thing. I can't see him changing that mentality with Forsling this season. Go out, carry the puck into the zone, play like a forward. You're going to see forward stats from these defensemen. I love this Florida system, and Forsling this season should be in for a career year. That will do it for the Must Draft Sleepers video, guys. If you enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Head on over to our Discord if you want to just talk fantasy hockey or have any questions about us on the Fantasy Puck Patreon leagues. Thank you for watching, everybody. Enjoy the content. We'll see you next time. Take care.